When we talk about the financial mistakes of celebrities, we usually picture mansions they can't afford, terrible restaurant investments, or buying private islands that just drain their bank accounts. But welcome to This Explainer, where we're going to look at a celebrity who made what Wall Street experts literally called the biggest financial mistake possible. Today, we're deconstructing a story that completely defies conventional logic. We're looking at how a guy with absolutely no backup plan, no safety net, and this wild willingness to stare right into the abyss built the ultimate modern empire. Because, as you'll see, it wasn't just raw genius that got him here. It was a series of terrifyingly calculated business decisions that would make a normal financial advisor run for the hills.
So how exactly does a man with zero safety net build an empire like this? Well, let's dive right in. The story of Elon Musk isn't your traditional success story. It's really not a straight line going up and to the right. Instead, it's basically a timeline of moments where he stared at total financial ruin with every single thing on the line and just absolutely refused to blink.
Picture this. It's 1995. A 24-year-old Musk arrives in Silicon Valley with just $2,000 in his pocket. He enrolls at Stanford for a PhD in energy physics. And then, in a move that kind of perfectly foreshadows his entire philosophy of betting everything, he drops out after literally 2 days. 2 days. He grinds it out, sleeping in the office of his first startup, Zip2, taking showers at the local YMCA. By 1999, Compaq buys the company, and he walks away with $22 million. Now, most people, they'd retire right then and there, hit the beach. But Musk immediately takes almost every dollar he has and gambles it on an online banking startup called X.com.
Now, that massive gamble on X.com actually works. It eventually leads to a merger with Confinity, creating the tech giant we all know today as PayPal. But there's a brutal detail that usually gets buried in the history books. Musk was actually removed as CEO of PayPal by his own board, while he was away on his honeymoon. I mean, being cast out from your own creation like that is a huge betrayal. But instead of breaking him, it really just ignited this darker, intensely focused ambition that the world simply wasn't ready for.
Fast forward to 2002. eBay buys PayPal, and Musk gets a staggering $180 million payout. Again, going back to our theme of financial mistakes, any sane advisor on earth is screaming at him to diversify. Put it in safe index funds. Protect your wealth, right? Instead, he completely defies standard financial advice. He dumps every single cent into extreme high-risk ventures. $100 million to a rocket company, $70 million to an electric car company, and $10 million to a solar energy company.
Every expert on Wall Street called this a catastrophic mistake, and honestly, for a really harrowing period, it looked like they were 100% right. SpaceX didn't just stumble. They failed spectacularly. The first launch explodes. The second launch explodes. The third launch, you guessed it, explodes. These weren't just little setbacks. These failures burned through his cash at such a terrifying rate that Musk was actually pushed to the point of personally borrowing money from his friends just to pay his rent.
Which brings us to a really critical turning point. The year is 2008, and Musk is pushed to the absolute brink of total collapse. He's down to his very last dollars. Tesla is actively hemorrhaging capital, sitting right on the verge of bankruptcy, and SpaceX has scraped together just enough funding for one final do-or-die launch. If that fourth rocket failed, everything he had sacrificed for would literally be reduced to ash. But then, September 28, 2008 happens. That fourth rocket launches, and this time, no explosion. It actually reaches orbit. That single successful flight didn't just save SpaceX from the grave. It unlocked a massive $1.6 billion NASA contract. That moment literally changed the trajectory of human history. He went from borrowing rent money to securing a $1 billion federal partnership in the blink of an eye.
And this next part brilliantly illustrates his psychological endurance. Because while SpaceX was securing its future, Tesla was still days away from death. Investors were pulling out, employees weren't getting paid, yet somehow, Musk manages to close Tesla's final survival funding round on Christmas Eve of 2008 with literally hours to spare. He admitted later that he had fully mentally accepted the possibility of total financial ruin. That willingness to stare right at collapse and just keep working, that is something they definitely do not teach you in business school.
Well, that last-minute perseverance totally paid off. By 2010, Tesla goes public, raising $226 million. Then, in 2012, they launched the Model S. Now, up until this point, the media had completely dismissed Tesla as just a toy for rich tech enthusiasts. But the Model S shattered every single assumption the auto industry had about range, speed, and safety. Musk was smiling through all that early criticism because he knew the secret.
He wasn't just building a car company, he was sparking a total energy revolution, and the car was really just the first door to walk through.
Now you'd think he'd take a breath here, right? Absolutely not. While everyone was watching Tesla, Musk was executing military-level strategic thinking across the board. In 2013, he publishes an open-source white paper for the Hyperloop. Then he makes his moves with SolarCity, The Boring Company, and Neuralink. He is planting flags across multiple legacy industries simultaneously. The absolute genius of this strategy is that by attacking everywhere at once, no single competitor could ever focus enough of their resources to defeat him in just one space.
You've got to wonder, how does one person manage all of these massive visions at the exact same time? The answer is that he operates fundamentally differently from a traditional CEO. A traditional CEO manages a company. Musk, on the other hand, acts as a relentless systems engineer. He's totally focused on building the machines that build the machines. He outlasts everyone else in the room simply by refusing to accept the limits that the rest of the business world treats as permanent.
And this philosophy triggered an absolutely historic financial shift. By 2020, Tesla's stock price did something that left Wall Street totally speechless. It exploded by over 700% in a single year. 700%. This monumental surge skyrocketed his personal net worth from roughly $25 billion to over $150 billion in the span of just 12 months.
But what does he do with $150 billion? He doesn't do what ultra-rich celebrities are supposed to do. He doesn't go buy a fleet of mega yachts. Instead, he sells all of his houses, gets rid of his physical possessions, and literally starts sleeping on a friend's couch in Texas. It's this fascinating paradox, right? It proves he was never actually chasing luxury or comfort. He was always chasing a vision that money alone could never, ever buy.
Then came the moment that shocked even his closest observers. In 2022, he launches a $44 billion hostile takeover of Twitter. He literally walks into the headquarters carrying a physical porcelain sink and posts the video with a simple, chilling caption, "Let that sink in." Half the internet laughed, the other half was deeply terrified. But beneath the meme was a highly calculated move to secure the absolute most valuable currency in the modern digital world: human attention. So the crucial takeaway here is that this wasn't just another business acquisition. This move gave him unprecedented leverage. He rebrands Twitter to X, dominating the global media cycle. Meanwhile, over at SpaceX, Starlink is providing internet to over 50 countries, including actively coordinating military communications in war zones like Ukraine. Musk essentially combined financial, cultural, and technological control. He gave a private company leverage in global geopolitics that used to be strictly reserved for actual nation-states. And you know what? He still didn't stop there. In 2023, he launches xAI. Now, when most tech founders launch an AI company, they talk about disrupting a market or, building a slightly better chatbot. But Musk, he stated his mission was to, and I quote, "understand the true nature of the universe." That astonishing existential gap between his goals and normal corporate goals makes it practically impossible to evaluate his ambitions using any standard business metrics. By 2024, estimates placed his net worth somewhere between $200 and $300 billion. He is the richest private individual in recorded human history. But here's the massive catch. Practically all of that wealth is tied directly into the equity of his companies. It's not sitting in gold bars or safe index funds. That means every single day he wakes up, one massive failure, one bad product launch, or one severe regulatory crackdown could erase hundreds of billions of dollars overnight.
Which brings us to the core thesis of this explainer, what we call the Musk advantage. It's not just his money, and honestly, it isn't even just his intellect. It's his unparalleled psychological willingness to live permanently on the edge of catastrophe and to actually treat that constant looming threat of ruin as a competitive edge. He has deliberately built an architecture of absolute leverage over civilization's core infrastructure, from energy to space exploration to human communication.
But history tells us that every financial dynasty, every technological monopoly, and every massive concentration of individual power eventually hits a ceiling. So, as we step back and look at the immense, unsettling scope of the empire he's constructed, it leaves us with one final, profound question to think about. Where exactly does this end? Because the more you look at the architecture of his empire, the more you realize the most important chapter of this story might not even be written yet. Thanks for watching this explainer, and keep questioning the systems being built around you.